How's it going, folks? You are very welcome to today's geography lesson. We're going to continue on a little bit on where we left off on the Amazon rainforest from last week, and then we're going to move on to a case study on IKEA and how IKEA has made efforts to be more sustainable. Okay, so as we know, guys, the trees in the Amazon rainforest are being cut down. Deforestation is happening in the Amazon rainforest at a very, very fast rate. Okay, and cutting down the rainforest is unsustainable exploitation. Okay, it's not a sustainable thing to cut down the rainforest, and we're going to look at why. Okay, so the first reason, okay, so number two there, tropical rainforests are home to over 15 million plant and animal species. So if you look there to the right, guys, you can see a frog, you can see cockroaches, you can see all sorts. Okay, so 15 million plant and animal species, an absolutely huge number. Okay, and these animals can only live in the conditions in the Amazon rainforest. They can only live in the hot conditions where they get lots of rainfall, and they can, have their homes in amongst the trees. Okay, so if you decide to cut down the trees in the Amazon rainforest, you're basically bulldozing the homes of all these animals away. Okay, so really, I suppose, bad, horrible effect of deforestation of the Amazon is you're destroying the natural habitat and homes for so many different plants and animal species. Okay, moving on. The Amazon rainforest, guys, acts as a carbon sink. And what a carbon sink is, guys, if you look at the picture on the right hand side, a carbon sink is a vast area of plants and vegetation and trees, and they will absorb CO2 from the atmosphere. Okay, so even, for example, in Ireland, if you're ever driving on any motorway in Ireland, particularly in and around Dublin, look to either side of the road. What will you see? You'll see trees. Okay, and those trees are there to absorb the CO2 emissions that come from the cars. Okay, and the Amazon rainforest, guys, is a massive carbon sink for the world. The Amazon rainforest is kind of nicknamed the world's lungs. So the picture on the right hand side, guys, shows, you can see CO2 emissions from fires, from agriculture going into the atmosphere, but these get absorbed and stored into carbon sinks, okay, i.e. into vegetation, plants and trees and things like that. And then those trees actually convert that CO2 into oxygen, okay, so they're, big areas of forests are hugely valuable to our planet. So by cutting down the Amazon rainforest, okay, we're adding to climate change. Okay, why? Because there's no trees left to absorb the bad, harmful CO2 emissions from our atmosphere. Okay, so to recap, guys, why is cutting down the rainforest unsustainable? Well, number one, in the Amazon rainforest, there's over 15 million different animal species, and we're destroying their habitat and their home. Number two, the Amazon rainforest acts as the Earth's lungs, okay? And if we cut away the Earth's lungs, what happens? It means the CO2 can't get absorbed by trees, and the trees, because they're no longer there, and then they obviously can't turn that into oxygen, okay? So, folks, moving on to IKEA. Okay, and you'll all recognize the logo for IKEA there, okay? There's an IKEA just outside Ballymun in Dublin. And chances are, I'd say, probably everybody in the class has a piece of furniture from IKEA in their home, okay? They make really, I suppose, affordable and cheap bits of furniture that are very straightforward and easy to put together, okay? And IKEA are a very environmentally friendly company, okay? IKEA wouldn't use trees that comes from, illegal logging in Brazil, for example. They try to use trees from sustainable sources, okay? So number one there, IKEA designs and sells flat pack or self-assembly furniture. Again, so IKEA kind of sort of changed the game when it comes to furniture, because their furniture is stuff that any person can buy and assemble in their home. You don't need tools, you don't need, a professional carpenter to come in and build it, okay? IKEA is gotten very big, and IKEA consumes 1% of all commercially produced wood in the world, okay? So quite a large, for one company to produce 1% of wood, that is quite a lot, okay? And again, it just shows you how, I suppose, big the IKEA company has gotten over the last number of years. Now, IKEA, as you know, they try to be sustainable, and they're doing this through, if you look at number 3, they've adopted a plan called the Forest Positive Plan, okay? And the idea behind this plan is to use their resources sustainably, so to not take too much wood at one time, and when they do take wood or cut down trees, to replant those trees, okay? Since 2002, IKEA has helped increase sustainable forest plantations by 25 million hectares, like an absolutely colossal amount. How do they do this? By funding the replanting of forests and that kind of thing. Okay. 50% of the wood IKEA uses is from sustainable sources. So 50% of the wood IKEA uses is from really good sustainable sources. Now, unfortunately, because wood, like the nature of kind of wood production, chopping down trees, it's very difficult to get wood from a constantly sustainable source. Okay, but IKEA are going to try and do this, and by 2020, so by this year, IKEA has planned to up their use of wood from sustainable sources by 100%. So basically, at the moment, IKEA technically should be taking all their wood from a sustainable source. And by sustainable source, I mean a source that, when they chop down the trees get replanted, okay, and a new forest is allowed to grow. Okay, so that's a very, very interesting case study, guys, on how, a really, really big company when it comes to home furnishings is making a big effort to protect our planet and to get its materials from sustainable sources.